Hello, everyone. My name is Kaylee Stenhouse, and I am a year 2 at CSU board member. I use she, her pronouns. And on behalf of year 2 at CSU, the CSU Alumni Association, key communities, and student success in the Office of the Vice President for Student Affairs, I want to thank you for joining us today and for jumping into the halfway there celebration. What you have all achieved in this moment is nothing short of remarkable, and we're excited to be able to celebrate with you today. Today's virtual keynote is part of a slew of celebratory activities aimed at reflecting on your accomplishments up to this point, and allowing us to recognize what the next couple of years may entail too. If you haven't yet, make sure to check out all of the Halfway There events on the Halfway There website. Today we'll be joined by double alum Ebenezer Yabua to talk about decisions, accomplishments, and community. But prior to hearing from him, I am very excited to welcome a very special guest, our 15th president of CSU, President Joyce McConnell. President McConnell, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Kaylee, and welcome everyone to this year 2 at CSU celebration. I'm Joyce McConnell, the president of Colorado State University. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Congratulations to all of you for making it successfully through your second year as undergrads at Colorado State University. We're so incredibly proud of you, and I'm excited to assure you, as you look ahead to your next several years as college students, that the best is yet to come. And I'm sure you're feeling that way now that we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel of the pandemic. I'm guessing most of you have heard the college experience described as a journey. I like to call it a road trip, partly because that just sounds so much fun right now, doesn't it? We've all been trapped for so long, we can't wait to be on the road. And when you're on a road trip with friends, well, you may have a destination firmly in mind. The best part is what happens along the way. The side trips you make to quirky destinations, the music you listen to, the amazing food or beautiful scenery you discover off the beaten path, and strengths you discover in yourselves as you travel. I can't tell you right now because it would take too much time, but I'd love to tell you about my 9 road trips from coast to coast in the 1970s. They were great experiences. We'll have to get back together again so I can share them with you. So I hope you all treat your college experience like the best road trip you'll ever take, because we've got quirky destinations for you too, and undiscovered treasures in the form of classes and academic fields you thought you would never explore, but you will fall in love with. We do have beautiful scenery at CSU and all across Colorado, of course, but we specifically offer opportunities for you to explore our state and our whole world through study abroad, experiential learning, internships, and volunteer work. And as with the best road trips, this one, your educational experience at CSU can be extended. You may decide to stay on for a second major at CSU or begin to explore graduate or professional school. The choices ahead of you are limitless and so exciting. Today, we've brought you all together virtually to reflect and be proud of what you've accomplished so far. But I also encourage you all to look at that road or roads ahead. Where do you want to go next? Where do you want to be in 2 years, 5 years, even 10 years? What music do you want to look back on that really was the theme, the musical theme to your road trip and to your journey? Know that wherever you've headed, you have what it takes to get there. And I can't wait to hear where your road trips take you. I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to see you walking across the oval as sort of a mini road trip. But I am so very excited for all of you and extraordinarily proud of the way that you've been able to navigate a very, very difficult time, challenging like no other. You all are a great generation for what you've done through this pandemic. And I cannot thank you enough. We are seeing light at the end of the tunnel, and let's go on a road trip.
From you, and great to have you at this event.
Thank you, Kaylee.
I'm now excited to introduce today's keynote speaker, Ebenezer Yabua. Ebenezer Yabua, also known by his stage name, Mawule, is a pop R&B singer, songwriter, and recording artist. Born and raised in Ghana, Mawule and his family moved to Denver in January of 2000 and have lived there ever since. Music has always been an integral part of Mawule's life, but success as a music artist has never been his only goal in mind. His lifelong fascination with human relationships drove him to pursue a bachelor's in human development and family studies, as well as a master's in student affairs and higher education at Colorado State University. Mawule's educational interests fueled and enhanced his songwriting and music production abilities, which caught producer Glenn Sawyer's attention and ignited Mawule's music marathon. Mawule's music reflects his passion for the human connection. He is inspired by the truth within lived experiences and publishes music cloaked in deep lyrics and catchy rhythms that serves as a source of both comfort and empowerment for others. As he is offering his talk, feel free to comment or ask questions via the Q&A feature, and we will get those questions asked. Thank you for being here today. So I think we actually both got muted for some reason, so you might have to unmute manually. There you go.
Well, thanks for that lovely introduction. It's certainly a pleasure to be here today, and I want to say a big congratulations to all the second years that are live on here and anyone else that is not on here. I want to say first, congratulations again to all of you, and a thank you to the committee for the invitation for me to be the keynote speaker. Attending CSU was truly one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, so it's an honor to be part of this celebration. As it's mentioned in my bio, I graduated from CSU in 2012 with my bachelor's in human development and family studies, and in 2014 with my master's in student affairs and higher education. There's a lot that I can say in my story, and there is a lot that I'm not going to be able to cover within this time frame. But I will share how my first year experience really set the foundation to my second year experience, which then really continued to pave my path for the rest of my journey at CSU. CSU changed my life in ways that I could have never imagined. So I hope that what I share today inspires you for your journey ahead. Now, when I reflect on my time at CSU, one memory really sets the foundation for the story that I will share today. And hopefully, from what you heard in my bio, you're able to make the connections between my CSU experience and pretty much where I am today. Now, before I share that memory, I want to pose a question to you. And the question is, are you getting the most out of your CSU experience? And what conscious decisions do you make every day to cultivate the experience that you seek? And here's why I asked that question. So when I first attended my CSU orientation, my mother was ill. She also took off days from work to join me at the orientation and also experience the place that would serve to be my home for 4 years. The orientation at the time was held at the Hilton Hotel with a few sessions in the Laurie Student Center. Now, during the whole experience, I had a difficult time really immersing myself into the orientation experience. I was worried about my mom's health, yet at the same time, also felt embarrassed when her cough was evident in orientation sessions or when I wanted her to walk faster so we weren't late to sessions, oftentimes, which was the experience. Now, I struggled to enjoy the experience, and really all I wanted to do was take her home. And so I reached out to the staff at the orientation and I asked them if there was anything that could be done to help me knock out any of the mandatory things so I can leave early and my mom and I can go home. Now, this moment was a transformative experience for me because this was where I really learned to ask for help and at the same time identify resources that I needed. But it was not in a positive manner. I shared this story because it really fostered a get in, get out mentality for me for my CSU experience. I wanted to get my education, graduate in 4 years, and get a job. I wanted to get in and get out. The in between of what was a CSU experience did not cross my mind. Well, I received a wake up call after I nearly failed all my first weeks of exams within my first semester at CSU. I could not find my academic rhythm. Yet, whenever I was quizzed by my key mentor, I would provide all the right answers in detail, which always caught her off guard. What became very cognizant to me was that I wasn't learning. In the classroom, my mind was fixated on trying to pinpoint what I believed would be on the exam. And so that was often what I sought to memorize and review anytime I was quote unquote studying. Again, I wanted to get in and get out, and that was my mentality. However, everything changed for me when I received another wake up call. In preparing for my second biology exam, I needed help. So I looked to schedule a one-on-one during my professor's office hours. After class, I waiting for her to come out of the lecture hall so I can ask her if it would be possible to schedule a meeting with her so she could further explain things that I could not understand within the readings and things that I could not comprehend. I told her that I was struggling, but I knew I could do well with some additional help. She asked if what I received on the first exam, and after sharing the score, she proceeded to tell me that there was no way I was going to recover and pass her class if I didn't understand the recent readings, so I might as well drop the class. Now, this is very disappointing to hear because for the first time within my academic life, I felt like I was making the conscious decision and the conscious effort to take more control over my academic life. So on my walk to Braden Hall, my mind was racing with thoughts of disappointment, frustration, and I was filled with negative emotions. In my mind, I wanted to prove this professor wrong. I wanted to prove that I could pass this class and I could make the comeback. And what I realized later on was that I didn't have that mentality to 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 make her nothing about that mentality was going to make her feel good. And nothing about that mentality was going to make me feel good. However, all the spiraling thoughts made me realize that honestly, I was a practical learner, that psychology was not the right major for me, and that I needed to find a major that was still focused on the aspects of psychology because I wanted to help people. And also, I didn't want to do research, so I wanted to find something that was more dialogue focused, as well as more practical in application, the way that I preferred. So, with the help of my advisor, I switched my major to human development and family studies. Now, I felt like life had changed at this point during my journey at CSU. Every class that I was in was filled with dialogue. Classes became more fun, and I actually enjoyed the readings as well as just going to class, feeling excited to engage with my peers and my colleagues at the time in my class. I was mad at myself whenever I was late to class because I didn't want to have that missing out feeling. Now, through the connections that I made from all these dialogues and just learning that took place within the classroom, I started to really find a way to connect and learn more about ways I could get involved with the CSU community to meet more people, to connect with staff, and to connect with faculty. So my first year at CSU was truly my year of exploration. Now, when it came to my second year, I was thriving. I was now the overly involved student that a lot of people knew on the campus because I was pretty much everywhere, involved in everything. I started to make connections with everything that I was learning in the classroom to the real world. And so with that, I became an orientation leader. I became an orientation leader because it was an easy way to further my learning and understanding of human development. I was able to make connections between the theories that I learned in the classroom to all the different trainings that I was a part of, that helped me learn more about myself, how to be a better leader, and how to be a better person when working with students, parents, and family members. And more than anything, I just learned what I needed to be aware of. I also became an RA because I loved being around people, pointing them in the right direction to access resources and helping them get the most out of their CSU experience. All-nighters were a frequent thing for me because I enjoyed interacting with people, engaging in any cool events that came across my path, and overall just being present in my day and the people around me. I'm not sure that everything was peaches and roses because though I'm making it sound that way, it wasn't, because there were still a lot of obstacles and hurdles that I had to overcome within my experience. However, the second year was truly a year where I felt like I found my place. I found my footing. I found my community. And overall, I was building a social capital that was going to help me succeed at CSU. And I felt like I was living the true CSU experience. Now, you may be wondering, now, how does my music come into play, or how does this all really impact what my life was like during the rest of my CSU journey and what I do now? As it was mentioned in my bio, human connection is something that my music is really founded in. And that aspect of my music was really founded in what I learned at CSU, from the books that I was reading, the conversations that I was having. What I really gravitated to was that human connection that was essential to what I learned at CSU. And so in my second year at CSU, when I was offered a recording contract with an indie label, it was really easy for me to turn that down. It was easy for me to turn that down because for the first time in my life, I felt like I was in control of where I was going. I felt like I was in control of what I knew and what I wanted to do. And so when I turned that recording contract, I didn't regret it one bit because I knew that music was always going to be there. In fact, the more that I learned, the more that as a songwriter, it made me a better songwriter. It made me a better songwriter in the way that I could write music that I knew was going to be able to relate to people, touch on subject matters that I kept learning within my educational journey. And then just through the sheer experience of interacting with people, I generated new ideas. And so that was an easy decision for me to make. Now, the one thing that I want to share about this whole process is that as you continue on your educational journey, the few things that I really want you all to remember is to make decisions that align with who you are. Make decisions that align with what you see yourself doing, and make decisions that align with where you want to go in life. I share these three fundamental things because I believe that these three fundamental things were the things that really helped me make the most out of my CSU experience and kept me optimistic to what was next. And so, outside of being an orientation leader and being an RA, I also got involved through my practicums with the Boys and Girls Club. And at the Boys and Girls Club, I got to run a recording studio there where I was able to help and support young and aspiring middle school and high school students who also wanted to pursue that musical journey. Now, if it wasn't for me changing my major to human development and family studies, I would have never came across this practicum or internship. I would have never been placed in a position where I felt like I was making an impact, sharing my experience, not only about just music and what I was doing, but how the college environment was really fostering me and really helping me self-develop and gain the skills that I needed to be able to succeed with whatever I wanted to do next. And so, what I would encourage every single one of you all to do, again, is to think about your CSU experience and to ask yourself this question: are you getting the most out of your CSU experience? And what conscious decisions are you making every single day to seek that experience that you want? Now, like I said, it took me failing all my first exams within my first semester to really get myself out of that get out mentality, right? Because again, like I said, I was not aware of the in between. That in between experience was not part of my focus at all. But the more that I engaged with the CSU community, the more that I was aware of the resources, the more that I built more social capital with faculty and staff members, and the more that I felt supported on the campus. I had people that I could reach out to whenever I was having life struggles. I knew exactly who I wanted to talk to. When I was having further academic challenges within my junior year and senior year, I knew exactly the support that I needed to really rely on and really lean on to help me. Whenever I needed someone to study with me in the Morgan Library or go get a bite to eat with me, I had several connections within my social network that I could really rely on. And at the end of the day, I felt like my CSU experience truly helped me define, really self-develop into the type of person that I wanted to be. And so again, you also might be wondering now, how does this still influence my music, or at least what I ended up doing with my music? At the end of the day, I think my CSU experience truly helped me identify and really learn how to seek out what I needed, or at least what I needed to think to be able to find the right resources. So when I graduated from CSU, I decided to continue to pursue my master's in higher education because I still felt like there was more that I wanted to learn. And what better way to learn about college students than studying the college environment and having a master's in student affairs and higher education? And so I prolonged my music journey by engaging myself further within my education. Now, what I didn't realize was that my master's program would truly open my eyes to social justice and diversity, to the ways of equality, inequity, and further identity development, further critical thinking for me to learn deeper about myself and my cycle of socialization. Now, as a master's student, I felt like this was a way that I was really able to dive deeper into my CSU experience. And with that, it made me, I would say, better prepared to pursue a music career. Now, when I made that jump from the academic world into the music world, the one thing about my CSU experience that really set me up for success was really that hunger to learn, that hunger to want to know more, right? And so with that, I realized that when it came to the music, I just really wanted to help people. I wanted to help people learn how a music career really worked because there's so much, even within the academic space, when it comes to music specifically, that was not taught. And so for me, I decided that I wanted a career in music and also as a musician where I was going to be able to learn all aspects of the music industry, similar to what I did within my master's program, learning all aspects of the college environment. And that led me to learning so many things that I could have never really imagined when it came to exploring a music career, as well as just being my own entity when when it came to me being my own manager, my own record label exec, and even representing artists. The core foundation of what really served as my ambition was just helping people succeed. I felt like that was one thing that CSU really taught me from all the ways that I was involved on the campus is I felt supported. I felt like I could succeed. I felt like anything that I put my mind to, when it came to my experience, I felt like I could achieve that. And so that was the driving force for what still to this day ignites my passion for what I do within my music work and the people that I come across within that music space. So again, I want to ask you, and for you to think about what you want to do with your life. And back to my original question is, are you getting the most out of your CSU experience? And what conscious decisions are you making every day to really seek the experience that you want? Because I think at the end of the day, whatever decisions you make, like I said before, make decisions that align with who you are. Make decisions that align with what you see yourself doing, and make decisions that align with where you want to go. Now, within your cohort as second year students who are transitioning or may be nervous about what that next step might be, just remember this, that you went through an academic year in a pandemic. Yes, the whole world went through this pandemic, but I cannot imagine what it was like for you to experience this virtually and haven't been forced to adapt to that virtual space within that big transition. What I want you to remember is the feelings of doubt that you may have had during that process, the feelings of what that next step could have looked like, not knowing what it was going to look like. Because at this point, you have really truly made it. And as a second year student, you're halfway there. The rest of your CSU journey from your third year to your final year is going to really speed. And what I don't want any of you saying is wishing that, looking back, that you would have regrets of things that you didn't take advantage of. Because what you went through, moving through this pandemic, should be that instinctual feeling that you get every time you come across life decisions where you may have those sudden doubts. If you're able to make decisions that align with who you are, make decisions that align with what you see yourself doing, and make decisions that align with where you want to go, I promise you, and I guarantee you, that wherever you land, you're going to be on a path that is familiar to you. You're going to be on a path that, whether there's new things that you need to adjust or new things that you need to overcome or new habits that you need to develop, all of it in terms of the process is going to feel very familiar to you. So reflect on that. Reflect on your current experience. Reflect on the questions that were asked of you to reflect on when thinking about your experience thus far. And think, are you getting the most out of your CSU experience? Because I can guarantee you that when I made the decisions to actually immerse myself in the CSU community, get engaged, get involved, really make the most out of that CSU experience, my life changed. I changed majors into a major that I enjoyed. I changed majors and really engaged in a major that truly became foundational to my core and became foundational to the work that I do now, even though it's within the music space. And so I'm going to share one time and ask you, are you getting the most out of your CXU experience? And I want you to think every day when you wake up and you start your day, What conscious decision are you making that day to seek the experience that you want? And when you think about that, always remember to make decisions that align with who you are, to make decisions that align with what you see yourself doing, and to make decisions that align with where you want to go. Because I guarantee you again that if you do this, however long it takes you to graduate from CSU, you're going to be standing at that graduation stage saying to yourself that you took full advantage of a CSU experience and you're not going to have any regrets about what you did or didn't do. You're going to be looking forward to the next step, knowing that everything that you've learned and everything that you've experienced will some way, in any shape or form, actually make a positive impact in what you're about to do in this world. And so with that, I want to say congratulations to every single one of you for making it this far. Now, within my story, like I said, there's so much to my story that obviously I haven't shared, and there's more that I could share. However, I can tell you that I truly enjoyed my CSU experience, and it certainly made me who I am today, and I would not be where I am, or even with the future plans that I have without my CSU education and the people that I've met. So when I think about my experience, some of the key things that really stand out to me is self-development, great memories, great friendships, and a good time. And so I want you to think about what you could do if you're not having that experience to have that experience. If you're having doubts about your CSU experience and your CSU journey, think about what you could do, who you could reach out to, who you can connect with to help you get tapped into the right places so you also can take full advantage of your CSU experience. So again, I want to say congratulations to all of you because you are truly halfway there. So don't sleep on your CSU experience and make every conscious decision to take full advantage of it. As you continue on your journey, finally, make decisions that align with who you are. Make decisions that align with what you see yourself doing with your life, and make decisions that align with where you want to go. Because the CSU experience has everything to help you get there. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much for that. We do have some questions from viewers, and we will continue to take questions in the comment section if you guys have them as we are talking. So the first question is, I relate a lot to a lot of what you've talked about. I would say personally, I think a lot of people do. Your story is very relatable. I'm also struggling with the get in, get out mentality. Do you have any other tips besides your wake up call and support system on how to get out of that mindset in your second year? I also work a full-time job, so I don't have a ton of spare time to join clubs, which I feel takes away from immersion. Also, was it scary to make the jump from academia to the music industry?
That's a lot of questions.
We can break it down. So the first would be, do you have tips to get out of the get in, get out mentality?
Yes. So the first tip that I would say is to really tap into the people that you are connected with. I felt like for me, it was easier for me to get out of that get in and get out mentality once I started engaging, and not necessarily obviously engaging in clubs and all of that. And I also had a full-time job, but really connecting with the people that I could really converse with and create an environment where I felt like I wasn't alone. Because I think it's a lot easier to be in that get out mentality if your goal is obviously, like, for example, to get a job, right? And so if that's the goal, the one thing that helped me really steer away from that get out mentality was that I was going to get there no matter what. I was going to graduate no matter what. And so once that cognitive piece really hit me, then I kind of dialed back and said, all right, cool. How do I really engage with the people in this community? How do I take part in conversations, whether it's a lunch meeting or whatever? How do I engage in meaningful conversations that gave me purpose and felt like I had, I really enjoyed and was present in my day with the people on the campus. So that's one advice I would share, is to really find people that you're connected with on the campus, whether it might be faculty, staff, or friends, and really engage them on their own experience as well. How do you, again, get out of that mentality by not feeling like you're alone, but you have other people around you that maybe do a similar thing, and how are they also coping with that experience? So that was something that helped me. And then I believe the other question was, how did I make that jump from academia to music? So music was always a part of my CSU experience. When I was struggling within my first semester, I really had to like take a pause on music because it was distracting me from, again, not doing well academically, and then also feeling like I was immersed in the CSU experience. And so I just had to find a different way where I could tackle my music by learning how to be a better songwriter. And as soon as I changed that major, it really helped me realize that, holy crap, a lot of what I'm learning when it comes to academia and a lot of the music that I listen to, the core of all these songs is human connection, or at least tackling a certain issue. So it was easier for me to make that jump to really think about, all right, how do I put music on the back burner for now and really engage with what I'm learning? Because in the end, I realized that it was going to make me a better musician, a better songwriter. And so when I made that jump, it was easy to make that jump because I had been prepared. My whole CSU experience had been preparing me for what I could do with my music career. Because as you said, and as you read within my bio, everything about my music really falls in line with what I learned in my human development and family studies major.
Great, thank you. So it sounds like you always knew that you were planning on moving from academia to music. Did you ever feel like that, like your degree was maybe futile or wasn't worth the time or energy or money? I think that second year students that's definitely kind of the point where we're deciding majors or confused about your majors. Sometimes there's doubt that you're in the right one, or that maybe you've wasted a few years or a few semesters in the wrong thing. Did you have any of those feelings, especially since you didn't end up working in a field directly related to your education?
Not at all. In fact, so one of the key things that I shared in my keynote was, make decisions that align with where you're going. And so the reason why I mentioned that within my keynote is because now when I look at, so I currently manage two artists, one just graduated from high school, and another who is in a full-time job and is experiencing a lot of challenges right now. And so a lot of the times when I think about the conversations that I have with them or the areas that I'm able to support them, it really did tie back into what I learned in my major. I don't know how well I could have been prepared to be so conversational with people or even just understand the life experiences that they're going through if it wasn't for everything that I learned from my human development and family studies major, from adolescent studies to family studies and all of that. Every bit of what I learned truly, even though it may seem like I am not utilizing being a musician, I guarantee you I am using that every single day because it really does help me understand the people that I'm interacting with, as well as how to best provide suggestions or advice, or even just be a listening ear, because a lot of the times, sometimes that's what people need is a listening ear. And so I don't regret any bit of it. And I definitely do not feel like it was a waste of my time and money because, like I said, it may be hard to see it right now. You're not going to know how what you're learning today and right now is going to benefit you later on when you're out of the CSU environment and in the real world. But I promise you, I guarantee you, if you make those decisions that align with who you are, that align with where you're going and what you see yourself doing, It's going to make sense later on. You don't see it right now, but it's going to make sense later on. And I am a testament of it.
Okay, so another question from the comments. Do you have recommendations on how to find people to connect with if we feel like we didn't find people right off the bat?
That is such a good question. Such a good question. I think for me, it started with my academic advisor. I highly recommend anyone who is not, I wouldn't say best friends, because I don't think every academic advisor wants to be best friends with their students. But I would recommend if there's an academic advisor that you're connected with that has been the person that has been helping you through your academic journey, helping you decide classes and everything like that. That is a place that I would start. For me, that was the place that I started. I didn't share it in my story, obviously, because there's so much that I could have covered, but my academic advisor at many times felt like my counselor. They were the person that also helped nominate me for certain leadership positions just from conversations we were having and just questions that I was asking them of ways that I felt like I was missing out on my CSU experience. And so that's a tip that I would share, is starting with whoever that individual is. Any programs that you're a part of, whether for me, I was part of the key communities. And so with that, I had that built-in network of support. So any clubs, communities that you're a part of, starting with the people there that you can really reach out to. So that would be one of my recommendations.
It's so interesting that you were close to your academic advisor. I felt like mine was really helpful, but I definitely wouldn't describe her as a friend. So I think
We,
that's an important thing, to be open to connection sort of wherever it's coming from.
we were besties because within our first semester when I was struggling, oftentimes I was going to her just really talking about me feeling like I was going to fail my first semester. And so that was a constant conversation that I was having with her because I was, like I said, that first semester was academically challenging for me, you know? And so she was a great help, assuring me, sharing tilt resources with me, and really pointing me in the right directions. And so, like I said, I'm sure not every academic advisor wants to be besties with their students, but for me, I felt like she was a great person that I really relied on and was a great point of networking and connection for me.
That's awesome. Um, so it's interesting. I feel like this semester, this get in, get out mentality is especially present because it's been such a difficult semester. And I think probably pretty similar to your first semesters at CSU, people are experiencing more difficulty and different difficulties than they've really ever had to deal with. Do you have any ideas on how to keep that sort of get in, get out mentality? And like you said before, making sure that we maintain optimism for the next 2 years in this sort of weird pandemic era.
Yes. I think so. When I say make decisions that align with who you are, um, for me, what I meant by that was I realized that I love talking with people and I could sit for hours and have great conversations with peers that I was meeting at CSU, and I enjoyed those moments. And so when I enjoyed those moments, it really did overshadow any sort of stressors I had a lot of times when I had an exam coming up and all those things, because what I needed was just to feel connected. Because at the end of the day, the work has to get done. When it came to studying and all of that, that had to get done. But what I valued more was just the connections that I was making. And so for anyone that may be in that state, right, of get in, get out mentality, what is causing you to be in that mentality? What is causing you to be in that state? First thing is to identify that. For me, like I said, is that I want to get in, get out so I can get a job and help take care of my family. That was what was getting me fixated in that mentality. But once I realized that, I'm gonna graduate CSU, I'm gonna finish and I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna be doing that for the rest of my life. I then realized that I wanted to enjoy the time that I was in. I wanted to enjoy my first year. I wanted to enjoy my second year. I wanted to enjoy my third year and the rest of my journey. And so I would advise everyone to really think, one, identify what is keeping you in that mind frame. And whatever it is, know that once you're done with CSU, you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life, possibly, right? And so because of that, take time to really be present in your day and be present with the CSU community, the people that you're coming across, and enjoy that, because however long, whether it's 4 years or 5 years or however long it's going to take you, you're only going to experience that once in your lifetime. And so identify that. And then from that, identify the ways that you can enjoy the CSU experience and really get yourself out of that mentality. And like I said within my story, you can see how I was able to do that. And obviously it took obstacles and challenges to help me realize that. But like I said, I don't want anyone to leave their CSU experience and regret anything about their experience, because I certainly don't regret anything about my experience. In fact, if I could go back, obviously I would go back and relive a lot of days that I experienced, because they were such a blast. So I would love for everyone to have that feeling as well. And it really starts with you being conscious with what mentality you're in. And if it's not a good mentality, how to change that mind frame for yourself.
Awesome. So I want to say again that we will continue to take questions in the comment section if you guys have them. Our next question is, so as part of the halfway there celebration, we had students thank people that they felt were influential in their education so far, and send little thank you videos and such. If you were to do one, who would you send it to? Possibly your best friend advisor.
Yes, I feel like oh man. So when I saw this question, I was like, man, is anyone gonna be mad at me that I don't mention them? Because I truly was the overly involved student after I figured out my academic rigor and just wanted to take more advantage of my CSU experience. And so obviously, yes, my academic advisor, so Siri Newman, would be someone that I would definitely send a thank you to, because she was a great advisor and was truly one of the transformative people within my CSU experience. Everyone within the key communities would be folks that I would send a thank you to as well, because they truly did help me in every aspect of my CSU journey. Even my senior year, when I was not part of Key, I was still accessing all of them and their support. I would say thank you to Sam Desta, because she was someone who became my close peer in all my classes when I switched to Human Development Family Studies. And through, I would say, some struggles in some classes, and lots of many laughters, she was a great support for me. I would say thank you to my professors. So Mark Ben, Dr. Larry Bloom, professors that really showed, I would say, a ethics of care to me. I was not just a student to them, but I was someone that they wanted to see succeed. And I was someone that they were invested in terms of my life and what was happening with my family and everything. And so it felt I felt more than just a student. I could go on, like I said, and just really name drop from, everyone, the orientation and transition program, residence life team, housing and dining, Kyle Oldham. The list of names I would send thank you to is very, very, very long. And so honestly, I would just say thank you to everyone that I had the privilege of interacting with at CSU, and the privilege of connecting with and serving as an impact and a pivotal point for my journey at CSU, because every single one of the persons that I came across had a foundational impact in my life.
Awesome. So one other question is just how people can find your music if they're interested in seeing the stuff that you've produced.
Oh, Mawule, Mawule. Google that anywhere, and any of my projects will come up, from music videos to my social media handles, blog press that I've been featured in, and all of that. So just simply searching Mawule would be easy way for people to find me. My website is currently down at the moment as I'm making a transition for my whole business and brand. But yeah, Googling Mawule is an easy way for people to find me.
Awesome. So this year especially, I think that if people are struggling academically, they also tend to just worry about how they're doing and have these sort of like spiraling thoughts where they don't want to do work because they haven't done work. Have you experienced that? And how do you get out of that spiral if you get stuck in it?
Um, I would say for me, um, talking about now, obviously, yeah, the Zoom fatigue and virtual fatigue is something that everyone is experiencing. And so early on for me, I realized that sometimes I just needed to disconnect from Zoom, and disconnect from the virtual world. Put on a podcast or an Audible and go for a walk. So I live very close to Washington Park down here in Denver. And so oftentimes during the lunchtime, you could find me taking a walk outside and just seeing the world. I feel like, especially with everyone being online now and all of us being virtual, we're so glued to this new normal and we've gotten used to this new normal. And so for me, I figured it out. I needed to disconnect from this new normal. And the only way that I could do that was to go outside and actually see life happening, whether it's other people also going on walks, going on jogs, animals, birds, all of that in nature, and seeing life outside of this virtual world was something that I had to consciously do to really overcome that. And so I would recommend anyone else to either take part in that or just figure out what they enjoy doing and tap into that more. That was what I was able to do. And believe it or not, music was not what I tapped into more, even though I'm sure many people could assume that. I did not tap into more of music because more of music is still a lot of virtual things. And so, yes, I physically disconnected from virtual reality and went outside on a walk.
Well, thank you so much for being here today and for all of your thoughtful responses to the questions. I want to give a huge congratulations to the Year 2 students again, and please check out the rest of our events for the rest of the week. We've got a lot of cool stuff going on. So yeah, it's been a tough year, but everyone has done and learned so much. I think it's important what you said about the pandemic students. I think it's a really interesting generation too, like Joyce McConnell said. Lots of good things happening now and in the future.